Hello and welcome to World Traveler Cooking, where we cover interesting cuisines and interesting foods from around the world. Today, we're going to make Jägerschnitzel, the West German version rather than the East German version. Jägerschnitzel is a pork schnitzel made with, served with a creamy mushroom sauce. The ingredients are pretty simple. Obviously we have pork chops, cut about ½ inch in diameter, that's about, or ½ inch across, that's about 1 centimeter. We will dust it with eggs, flour, and breadcrumbs. And then our sauce will consist of water, which I don't have out, mushrooms, bacon, onions, which I haven't brought out, some milk, and some cream. So, that's what we have. This should be really good. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, as with Schnitzel Wiener Art, we are going to pound this very thin. And so here we have a very thin piece. I will do that to all the other pieces, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to work with about half of my mushrooms in each pan. So I'm going to have 2 pans going here. It's just because I'm making a fair bit, but if you don't make as much as me, if you make only the amount in the recipe, then you can get by with probably just 1 pan. I'm using a frying pan at this stage. And if you're using cast iron, if you're using carbon steel, you might want to switch to another pan when we get to the boiling and reducing stage. So first of all, add a couple tablespoons of oil to our pan. We can add more if we need to. I'm using a beef fat today, actually hamburger grease for the most part, but that's kind of closer to what you'd expect from German cuisine, but you can use another fat if you'd like. And then in go about half of my mushrooms. So I mean, I'm making like a full, ½ kilogram of mushrooms here. So now I'm going to go ahead and fry these until they are golden brown and dry. This will take a while. Once we see the browning starting here, I'm going to add about, to each pan I'm going to add about 2 strips of bacon cut into lardons. And we'll just render that out. We'll turn the heat down and render that out a bit. Once it's cooked down quite a bit more, I've added my onions. Now I'm adding quite a bit of onions today because I'm not using a broth as a base. So I am adding basically twice the weight of the mushrooms as onions. So I started with ½ kilogram of mushrooms, and so I'm adding 1 kilogram of, of onions. These are julienned, and we will cook them until they're cooking down a bit. Then we'll be back. So once the onions are translucent, I'm turning up the heat, and I'll fry these on high for about 3 or 4 minutes to start to brown the onions. So once the onions are browning, I've transferred them to a deeper pan because I'm going to start adding liquid and boiling it off. So we're just going to go ahead, get this up this temperature again, and then I'm going to start adding some water. Now, again, normally they would use rinderfond, and then they would add normally the mushrooms later, but since I don't have rinderfond, I'm frying the mushrooms first to intensify their flavor, adding extra onions, and using water and salt instead of the rinderfond. Adding my salt. Again, if you're using broth, omit this. And I'm just going to let that cook in for just a couple minutes. And then we'll start adding the water and boiling it dry. Okay, adding the first batch of water, about 200 milliliters or so. the second batch. I decided I'm going to add some white wine, so I'm going to add it now before I add my next bunch of water. That's kind of what I want. So I did repeat one more time with one more glass of water, and you can repeat as many times as you like. Each time the sauce will become thinner, or thicker rather, and the onions will kind of dissolve a little more. The sauce will also get darker. So now I'm going to finish off the sauce with 400 milliliters of heavy cream. This is 200 here, and I'll add 200 in another thing, and you will be done with the sauce. You can also add some milk if needed. So, now we'll stir this together. We should get a really nice, rich sauce as this comes to a boil and reduce this slightly. So, I don't know how well the camera shows this, but it's darkened up quite nicely. It's now definitely sort of a medium beige. So for breading, I prefer to do flour, egg, breadcrumbs, but it's probably more traditional to start with the egg. So I'm going to bread one or two, and then we'll start frying. So, unlike Jägerschnitzel, Jägerschnitzel is often just shallow fried in fat, which is what I'm doing today. So again, I'm using beef fat. And I'm just going to shallow fry it golden brown on both sides, and then I'll be back for the taste test. And just look at that color. This is perfect. It'll just be a couple minutes, and then I will be ready for my taste test. So I'm just going to take this sauce and spoon it on top of the schnitzel. And normally this would be served with fries, but I'm not creating those. I'm not cooking those today. So next up, taste test. And now for the taste test. This is just delicious. Yeah, exactly what I expected. It's great. Perfect. It's rich, you get the mushroom notes, it's you get the richness from the onions too. It's just delightful. Now if you like this content, you'd like to see more of it, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have anything to say about this video, love to hear from you in the comments. At any rate, recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.